Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today we celebrate the beautiful feast of all the saints. On this day, the church lifts our eyes to heaven and reminds us that we are part of something much bigger than this world. We remember the great saints we know by name: Saint Peter, Saint Teresa of Lisieux, Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Teresa of Calcutta. But also we remember the countless unknown saints. These are ordinary men and women who lived simple lives, loved God sincerely, and are now united with Him in heaven. The truth this feast brings us is very powerful. Holiness is not just for priests or nuns, not only for the famous saints, but holiness is our call, your call, my call. It is the purpose of our lives. Something we imagine that saints were perfect people who never made mistakes. But this is not true. Peter denied Jesus. Augustine struggled with sins for many years. Saint Teresa of Calcutta walked through years of darkness and did not feel God's presence. What made them saint was not perfection, but faithfulness. They allowed God to love them, to forgive them, to shape them. They fell, but they did not back up. They struggled, but they trusted. So holiness is not about never failing. It is about belonging to God, letting Him work in us, and saying yes to Him every day, even in small things. In today's gospel, we just heard Jesus gives us the Beatitudes. He does not give us a list of rules, but a picture of His own heart, a portrait of a saint. He says, "Blessed are the pure in spirit," which means blessed are those who know they need God. Blessed are the gentle. That means those who do not push others down to feel important. Blessed are those who mourn, means those who feel the pain of the world and do not close their hearts. Blessed are the merciful, means who choose to forgive instead of holding grudges. Blessed are the pure of heart, means who keep their hearts focused on God. Blessed are the peacemakers who heal instead of divide. Blessed are those who are persecuted for doing what is right. That means this is the way of Jesus. This is the way of the saints. The world tells us to be powerful, popular, successful. Jesus tells us to be humble, to be merciful, to be faithful. Only one of those paths leads to heaven. So the saints also show us that holiness is possible. They were not angels. They were not superheroes. They were ordinary people with ordinary problems, but with ordinary trust in God. Some were young, some were old, some were rich, some were poor, some were educated, some not, but they all made a daily choice to follow Jesus, to love, to forgive, to serve. They lived the Beatitudes, not only in church, but in their homes, in their workplaces, in their schools, hospitals, even on their sick beds. They show us that we too can become saints right where we are now. My dear friends, you are called to be a saint, not someone else. You, Saint John Paul II said, to be a saint is not a luxury. It is a simple duty of every Christian. Maybe you think, but I am weak. My life is messy. I keep falling. So did the saints. What made them different is that they never stayed far from God. They kept coming back to Him. Holiness does not begin with perfection, it begins with desire, the desire to love Jesus, to stay close to Him, and to love others the way He does. So today, in this feast of all saints, let us ask God for His grace. Lord, make me a saint, not by my strength, but by your grace. Teach me to live the Beatitudes. Give me a heart like yours, gentle, humble, merciful, and pure. May Mary, Queen of all saints, pray for us. May all the angels and saints intercede for us, so that one day we too may join them in the joy of heaven.